So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Easy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I hope you enjoyed listening to us do our yearly Marvel episode and also provide a deep dive into 5 Marvel characters we find underrated. So now for episode 94 of Easy Conversations. I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great night right now. Super pumped for tonight's episode because we're going to be doing a list, and I love list shows, and I'm excited for our guest too, Eric. So why don't you introduce him and then introduce our topic tonight?
Absolutely. It's been a while since we've had a guest on here, so I figured no better way to get back on that guest train than to bring on a good, one of my cousins and a listener to the show and an aficionado in the music game who will be helping us with this topic. Also, host of his own podcast, which we'll get into as well. But my cousin, Dan Deschamps. So what's up to the people?
What's up, everyone? Thanks, Eric, and thanks, Matt, for having me. And I'm excited for this podcast to speak on my knowledge of music and just to hear everyone out.
Yes, sir. We're super happy to have you. And like I said, Dan just started his own podcast called Dan's Basement. And I definitely recommend you check it out. It's on YouTube, full episodes on there. 2 episodes up, so episodes 0 and 1. Go check that out. Him and his homies kicking it in the basement, imparting wisdom on the people and just sharing stories and stuff. It's a really good vibe, chill stuff. Would recommend. I'll have the links up in the description as well. But not for our episode now. We're going to be doing this is a tough topic, to be honest, but interesting one, I think. Pose the hypothetical question: if we could go the rest of your life and only listening to 5 artists, who would they be? So before we divulge our list, I want to ask you both. Actually, I'll throw it over to you first, Dan. How is making this list of 5 artists like for you?
Honestly, ever since you threw that topic to me, I read in my notes. I picked 5 artists every single day, kept switching them up, just because I have so many favorite artists, so many people that I listen to, and it just took me a while to just figure those top 5, and I put them down. So I hope they'll be good, and hopefully no regrets on my end.
And what about you, Matt?
I did my list today, actually, and I thought it'd be hard, but it ended up being super easy because the artists on my list, like, I've been listening to for a while now, and they all, I'm not going to give anything away, but they all, like, have such a wide range, and they're artists I'll continue to listen to, like, for the rest of my life. So it was fairly easy for me, actually. What about you, Eric?
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, for me, I listed down, kind of like Dan, I made a few different lists, and I had like I've narrowed it down. I had like around 15 names and then chopped it down to 5, which I think are pretty representative of the kind of music I like in general. Like, there's some good variety and a bit of everything on there as far as you can have with 5 artists, right? Like, it was tough in that sense of like, all right, like there's only 5 for the rest of my life in this world we'd be living in, but I'm happy with what it came down to for me. So I'm excited to share with you all as well. So without further ado, Dan, do you want to kick us off with the first name or names on your list?
Yeah, so I'll start it off on my 5th person that I'd listen to for the rest of my life. I put Dua Lipa.
Okay.
Honestly, just started getting into Dua Lipa a couple of years ago. She's a good solo artist. Couple of songs that just bop in my head from day to day, and there's just good party songs, good vibe songs. So Dua Lipa definitely in the top 5 for me. That was one of the tough ones for me to put there, but I had to put her up there. She has a couple of songs. I know that she has a couple of good features as well, but definitely Levitating, Love Again by her is just a really good song that I'll listen to. Always shuffles in my playlist, so I'll never skip that. So definitely Dua Lipa, top 5.
Okay. No, I like it. Like, Dua Lipa, I don't really know her music myself that well, but I've heard a bunch of her songs on the radio. Levitating, of course, is the song that comes to mind for me too, and that's just an absolute all-time banger. Never gets old. Obviously know her from like features as well. Most recently, the Pop Smoke Demeanor song that dropped last year that still plays. Love that. But off the top, those are the 2 I can name. But no, Dua Lipa, rising superstar too, so I'm sure that she'll keep releasing good music. So that's a good pick for you as well, to bank on like a top prospect who's already established, a Connor McDavid, if you will, to a certain degree, and just keep producing good music for us. No, I love that pick.
I love that pick too, because I didn't know if you guys were gonna go old school and new school, so I like that you brought like someone that's more like like current right now, and you'll see my list is like maybe different. Should I just jump into my number 5?
Yeah, give her.
Okay, so I love like music from every genre, almost every genre, and like it was hard. Do I like 5 hip hop stars? Do I go like rock? And I just went with like my all-time personal favorite. So like at number 5, we're gonna go with Eminem.
Okay.
Been listening to him since like grade 4. I remember in grade 4 or 5, like listening to the Marshall Mathers LP at my friend's house, because he's the only one who convinced his parents to actually like buy it for him, and because it was like you weren't allowed to listen to that music. And he has such a wide like he has so many albums out, and I think I wouldn't get tired of listening to him because he has a lot of songs out, and I love Eminem. Still listen to the Eminem Show so much. It's my favorite album of his. Eminem, number 5.
Great pick again as well. Like Eminem, one of the people who got me into rap from back in the day, early 2000s. Like he played on the radio too, so I had a bunch of commercial success. And I feel like maybe kids who grow up nowadays who get into rap young weren't exposed to Eminem perhaps, or didn't realize, or only know Eminem from the more recent music he dropped and don't know his back catalog from like the 90s and early 2000s. Strong recommend to any of you who haven't heard to go back and listen. Yeah, Eminem is one of the all-time greats. Like, can't miss pick there too.
Yeah, definitely Eminem was on my list, but I unfortunately took him off. But I remember the first time I started listening to Eminem, it was actually Eric that introduced me to Eminem when we used to use LimeWire in your basement.
Oh man.
We listened to Crack a Bottle, Lose Yourself, all these old classics that still come up through my playlist till this day, and I'll never skip those. Yeah. But definitely a great pick.
Man, I actually have the most random memory of us listening to. This isn't really in my basement back in the day, but it's actually at Uncle Joe's house. I have this recollection of me rapping Without Me around all the adults, and they all found it funny that I knew some of the words and stuff, and they super random, but for some reason that song reminds me of a miscellaneous night in Uncle Joe's backyard. So that's a deep sleeper reference for those who know our family. But
that's legendary.
Yeah. No, great pick, Matt. And Eminem, also someone that I would have considered too. Because of the catalog too, I took some picks that I'm like maybe gambling a little more because I'm hoping that they continue to release better music, but Eminem is probably a better pick than some of them that I made. But anyways, we'll get into those later. So my first one is, like you, Matt, considering different genres, and Dan too, Dua Lipa is not rap, and I know that's our preferred genre. So I went a different direction, the rock pick, and might surprise some people, but I have been vocal about this band on the pod. The Doors. So it's an old band that their first 5 albums all slap, in my opinion. Starting with their first album, The Doors. Would strongly recommend. They have just the old school rock vibe, and when I started discovering their music, which was only a few years ago, honestly, there were a bunch of songs that I had recognized from either movies or just on the radio, and I just didn't know it was by them. So they have a familiar feel to them, catchy stuff, chill music too. It's not extremely hardcore rock. It's the kind of rock that I mess with. Really, like I said, chill. LA Woman, amazing album. Strong recommend. The Doors. That's my first pick.
I love it. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know. I should know way more about The Doors than I do. Like, I need to get on that. LA Woman, that's where I'll start.
That was the first album I heard by them, and opened the door for future Doors material for me.
I've heard one song of The Doors. I'm not too familiar with the band, but I know that one of their songs, Light My Fire, which is an old one. This is a pretty good classic that my dad will throw on once in a while, but it always click in my head. But definitely I'll get more into The Doors for sure. always you always send me recommendations on artists who to listen to, so that definitely will be one of them.
I like it. Yeah, Light My Fire, great song. Like starting with like their Essential Hits album, always a good place to start, and then going into their albums one at a time, I would recommend. But yeah, it's the first one.
Sweet.
Dan, back to you.
Yeah. So number 4, I had to put my man Don Toliver.
Okay.
Eric knows I've been listening to Don Toliver ever since I graduated high school back in 2019, where he dropped No Idea, which is the song that made him who he is today. Still repping it, no skips till this day. He has 2 albums, one called Heaven or Hell, which is my favorite album of the 2. Just a couple of songs on there, Heaven or Hell, Wasted. Just like some good classics to listen to, and they're just real chill, real vibey songs for me. And Don Toliver is definitely one of my favorite artists. If anyone asks me who's a good artist that you listen to, it would be Don Toliver. And one funny story about that is when the documentary of Travis Scott dropped on Netflix, he was first introduced into there with one of his leaks, and I tweeted at him one of the lyrics that he put into the Netflix documentary, and he actually texted me back and retweeted my tweet back in 2019.
No way.
Wow.
Let's go.
But yeah, Don Toliver, awesome artist. I know Eric knows a bit about it, but Matt, if you need a good artist to listen to, definitely Don Toliver will be one of them for sure.
Yeah, I don't. You're absolutely right. I'm very unfamiliar with him.
Yeah. He's been popping up a lot lately, I feel like, on features for a lot of big artists. Like, he actually had a song on Eminem's album, I think, in 2020. The Music to Be Murdered By. I'm pretty sure he was on one of the songs there. And it was a great song. I just don't remember the name.
Yeah, No Regret.
No Regrets, yeah.
All right.
Scraped It Off as well on the Pusha T album. Like, he pops up a lot, and I always love him on features. I just don't know his own music that well. Like, I've listened to both his albums maybe once, but maybe just wasn't paying attention enough, and nothing caught my eye initially. But I always love him on features, so I'll have to go back and listen to his albums. Like, I remember I'm looking at Life of a Dawn now. Like, there were some songs that were bangers on here. I just need to give it another spin, no doubt. And he was an up and comer too. Like, when Travis Scott put him in the limelight, basically, right? Like, he helped him get a lot of shine. So there's definitely a big future for this guy.
Definitely. He's just an awesome artist. Like, as you said, he was on Jack Boys as well.
Yep.
Just a couple features here and there. Lemonade. Just His and Hers. They're just all cool songs. But as a solo artist, he has some great singles as well.
Yeah. Oh, solid pick.
All right. Well, my number 5 was Eminem, but that is where the hip hop ends.
Oh, okay.
So number 4 for me is super generic band. Well, the Beatles is number 4 for me. My dad introduced me to them when I was a kid. Never stopped listening to them. I know all their albums. Just comfort music. It's super re-listenable to me. Like, never gets boring. Yeah. So the Beatles. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows the Beatles, right? So yeah, had to include them.
I was debating Beatles, honestly. It was either them or the Doors. Like, I knew I had to have a bunch of rap picks on here, so I'd be lying if I was putting a bunch of different bands on here myself. But it was Beatles or Doors. I went Doors. I love the Beatles, so I was just looking for the vinyl of Abbey Road. I love that album. That's one I've heard so many times. Classic album, but I have not done a full deep dive on the Beatles. They have so many albums, right? It's tough, like, where do you start? But always love that album specifically, and whenever their songs pop up, like, they're one of the best, if not the best bands of all time. So, great pick.
Yeah, that was a great pick on the Beatles. And then, I'm a big hip-hop guy, big rap artist, so when it comes to the Beatles, it'll always come 1 or 2 songs will come into my playlist, and just a great band. And people for a bit older than myself, I know I'm a little kid compared to most people, but I still have that old rock in me, and and I'll still listen to it. But it's just an awesome band for sure.
Like, Matt, do you have a favorite album of the Beatles if you had to pick one? Because they have so many.
Coming up later on.
Oh, okay. Let's go. All right. Just trying to get a sneak peek there. Me, it would be Abbey Road, because the one I know the most. Like, come together. Because Here Comes the Sun, I think, is the B. Yes, it's the first song on the B side of the record, and it's a great way to start off the record. Yeah, no, Abbey Road, so good. Anyways, great pick, Matt. So my fourth pick will be my last non-rap pick, and this is someone who, initially, when people started to say, like, oh, this guy actually has good music, like, you'd be kind of judged for being a fan of his music, but now I feel like those days are long, long gone. So my fourth pick is Harry Styles. Huge fan of his music. I've been a fan of him since he released his first album in 2017 called Harry Styles. And I feel like he's only gotten better with each release. 3 solo albums to his name, so Fine Line, and the one that dropped this year, Harry's House. One of my favorite albums of the year so far. The guy's a mega superstar now, one of the biggest in the world. And I feel like if he continues to stay on this trajectory, even if he experiments, which he has done on his last 2 albums, a lot of experimentation with the sounds and musical direction, I still feel like they're all going to hit. And he has that rock, pop, some psychedelic musical vibe that I really mess with. And if you haven't heard his last 2 albums specifically, I would strongly recommend to maybe take away or let go of the bias, or not bias, but I don't know, the misconception perhaps of like, oh, One Direction, boy band, kid I don't know, like music for like young girls and all that. Like, that's not the vibe at all. It's great music. Harry Styles, 4th pick.
Good pick, Eric. I knew you liked him. I didn't know you liked him that much for top 5, but that's awesome. I have no problem with him. I have, like, Fine Line was great. Harry's House, I listened to it once and I was like, put it aside, but I think you're convincing me to re-listen to it now. What do you think of that choice, Dan?
I honestly, it's a great choice, because I remember when we were heading to Toronto to go to the Dave concert, I asked Eric if he ever listened to As It Was, and he told me he does not want to listen to it. If he wanted to wait to start the album, start to finish, and I couldn't agree more with him, because honestly, top to bottom, that album is one of my top 10, honestly. Cool. I was contemplating putting Harry Styles in there, but people, again, with the misconception of him being in One Direction, I wasn't too big of a fan of One Direction when I was a kid, but now listening to Harry Styles, like, top to bottom, starts with music for a sushi restaurant, and just the list goes on and on from there. So definitely a great pick and a great album for sure.
Yep. Thank you. And I just want to clarify, Matt, to your point also about not knowing that he would make my top 5 list. To be fair, all these picks are not necessarily like my 5 favorite artists of all time. It's more if I had to only choose 5. Like, I'm not picking the Doors over like West Side Gun, let's say, who is not on my list. But you know what I mean? It's just because for the diversity, I had to clarify that there, that while I am a big Harry Styles and Doors fan, if it was like to rank your artists, it'd be mostly rappers on this list. But got to keep things interesting on here as well. So That's my clarification. Dan, I'll pass it on to you now.
Yeah, so my third pick, The Weeknd.
Okay, nice.
Oh.
So I started listening to The Weeknd. Glory year 2016, amazing year for music, amazing year for albums in general. That's where I found love for the album Starboy. Honestly, only album I can listen to from The Weeknd, top to bottom, and just like never get old of one song on there. It's just an insane album to me. Just with the track 4 as a reminder, it always plays in my car. Never skip it. You have Starboy, Party Monster, the list goes on. And ironically, that is the only CD I own that I have in my car that I'll listen to from time to time. So it's just a great album. And with the new album he just dropped on FM, it's a pretty good album. Yeah. But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be Starboy.
I love that. I love The Weeknd a lot, actually. So great pick, Dan. Yeah.
Man, with that album, you just brought me back 2016 to when this album dropped. I was living in England for my semester abroad, and this album played non-stop at my apartment, especially like for parties as well. 6 Feet Under, that was the jam. Sidewalks too, just all the songs you listed, man. I guess like Reminder specifically was probably my jam. Party Monster, like Starboy, obviously. Yeah, no, this was a fire album, and The Weeknd has done nothing but drop hits since he came out on the scene in like 2010 or 11. Like his first breakout song, or when I heard him first, was on Drake's album Take Care with I forget the name of the song now.
Pray for Love? Is it Pray for Love? No, that's
no. I can hear the song too. Gosh, I'm gonna have to cut this dead air out, but Take Care, Weeknd.
Oh, Crew Love.
Crew Love, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that was the first time I heard The Weeknd, and then he's done, like I said, dropped a bunch of hits since then, and but Starboy is probably my favorite album of his, to be honest. Like especially for that reason, like then Memory Trigger's huge, but no, great pick. And hopefully he keeps dropping good albums. Like I liked his album that he dropped this year too, and I feel like I forgot about it though because it was so early in the year, and like now I gotta go back to it. Dawn FM, I liked it a lot actually, so it's good stuff. And yeah,
I love that these artists are triggering like nostalgic times for you guys, because these like the ones in the top of my list are exactly that. And well, number 3 for me, this might be really surprising because I don't really talk about my love for him very much, but number 3 for me is Elton John.
Okay.
The man has over like 30 albums. I used to like think Elton John was just like radio, like they play his like the same songs over and over again, and it's like not very good. But like then I deep dived into like his old like his more rock albums at the beginning, and his first like there's some albums in there from the 70s, the 80s that are just phenomenal, and I listen to Elton John every day almost. I have his albums on my phone. I listen to him in the car a lot. I just love. He's a tremendous artist. He writes songs like he's written so many songs, and a lot of them are just gems. So Elton John for me is number 3. Never get tired of listening to him. Maybe he's a little over the top now, doing all these features with everyone, and you know it's his victory lap, I guess. Like he's deserved this, but like early on in his career, he was like pumping out some like great albums. So Elton John number 3.
Dan, Elton John.
Yeah, Elton John. That's a great pick. Surprising actually, but I'm not. I don't listen to Elton John that much. But coming back to the feature part where he's doing his victory lap this year, definitely with the song with Dua Lipa, "Cold Heart," is definitely a classic in my books. Like, awesome party song, just an awesome get happy song, and you can't go wrong with Rocket Man for sure. Like, if you don't know that song, like. I don't know if you're living under a rock or something, but it's a classic for sure.
Right.
But great choice on Elton John.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not familiar with Elton John. That's maybe embarrassing to say. I obviously know Rocket Man, and I'm just looking at his essentials, and these titles aren't ringing many bells, but I'm sure if I heard them, they'd be like, okay, that's Elton John. It would click, you know, but off the top, no, I don't really know his music, and that's a sign that I should educate myself on the J-Dog's music, and I will do so. Just this Essentials playlist has almost 4 hours worth of music, so that's how you know the man's got a lot of bangers, if that's how long the Essentials playlist is. But no, good pick, Matt. Did not see that coming. Well, first of all, I was surprised when you said your list would only have Eminem as the one hip-hop pick. I thought you'd have like at least 2-3 in there, but no, I'm liking the diversity as well. Great stuff. So yeah, my diversity was my first 2 picks, and now it's straight to. People could probably predict what my next picks are, but I'm gonna go number 3. Wasn't sure about including this guy on the list, but going back listening to the old catalog, I was like, I had to, could not leave this guy off my list, and that's Travis Scott, number 3. And a big reason of that is we were just talking about 2016 Starboy. Look no further than 2016 Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight. that album straight up. I was looking at how many times I've listened to that album. It's an insane amount of times, and it brings me back to England again. That was always playing. I was known as Travis Scott guy, and that's not what people called me. But basically, when I was around, you knew Travis Scott was playing, and just playing The Ends, the first song on that album. I remember playing that song on the plane to go to England. And it instantly brought me back to that, the red-eye flight, window seat, nodding off as coordinates started to creep in. Just can't leave the guy off my list. Rodeo, start to finish. That album, I had that album in CD in my Versa Astroworld classic album. Looking forward to what Travis Scott's going to drop next. Big album for him, I feel like, especially with the Astroworld tragedy, Astrofest tragedy, and... but been a fan for so long, can't leave him off the list. That's my third pick.
Well, admittedly, Travis isn't like one of my favorites just because I don't know enough. I haven't listened to him enough, Eric. And you've made me some like hip hop playlists, and you've had some of his songs on there, and they've all been fantastic. So those are the ones I know the most. But yeah, great pick.
Honestly, I was surprised that you put him on the list, but just an amazing artist for sure. And I took him on and off my list 5 or 6 times, just because as me and Eric talk every time we see each other, we talk about music, we talk about Travis Scott, and Rodeo is just a classic album. Birds in the Trap, Sig McKnight, amazing album start to finish. Even the collaboration he had with Quavo, Huncho Jack, Huncho. Amazing album. But what I remember from Travis Scott is 2018, just having my G2, Astroworld dropped the next night, and just me driving, listening to that top to finish, no bystanders, sicko mode, like just amazing features, just amazing songs, and just brings up the mood and hypes up everyone. Just an amazing pick for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll number 2 on my list. Eric knows this guy very well. The man on my shirt, Dave.
That's cool.
So, surprisingly, Eric once again, put me on this artist about 2 years ago. We were playing beer pong in the backyard, listening to Stratum and Location, just off Psycho, just an amazing album, psychodrama. And even his latest album, We're All Alone in This Together, which is this t-shirt. Amazing album once again, top to finish, Verdance, System, the list goes on, and just a amazing story what we did together. We went to Toronto to go see his concert, so thank you again for that. What a surreal experience that was, listening to those songs live, you guessing that it's going to be the first song that he played, and it did, as well as him playing in Top Boy, having the song Professor X. It's just amazing songs, but definitely one of my favorite songs from him, which Eric can agree on this one probably, is Screwface Capital.
Yep.
So that's my second pick.
Matt, you have thoughts?
I like Eric put me onto Psychodrama actually. Well, he told me to listen to it, and Stratum is that one's on my playlist. I listened to it 100 times. It's great. I need to check out We're All Alone. That I'll admittedly never listened to it, Dan. Which is sad, but great pick. I didn't know you. I didn't even know what that shirt was from. So yeah, great choice.
Yeah, I know, for great shirts from a great concert and great artists. I mean, Dave is an up-and-coming artist, I would say, but he's also huge already, especially in the UK. And even when we went to Toronto to see him, I was shocked at how long the lineup was to get into this place, and how a lot of the fans there, I would say Dan included, made me realize how much I'm maybe not as big of a fan of this guy as I should be, because these people all know every single lyric to the songs, and I know a lot of his lyrics, but these people are just going off. He pulled up fan on stage to rap with him. The guy was going off. It was unreal. And yeah, Dave is 2 for 2 in my opinion with his albums, Psychodrama and We're All Alone in This Together. Love them both. Screwface Capital, probably my favorite song of his, honestly. It's him, that, or Stratum, but no, Screwface, whenever that comes on, you cannot skip it. it's a must play every single time. And when that played live, I lost it. I remember it was great times. And yeah, he's an amazing artist. If you don't know him, British rapper, like we've already said, very deep. He's a poetic artist. Also puts out bangers, but a lot of his music is deep, has very serious lyrical content. Takes on has a lot of songs that are over 6 minutes long. Has an 11 or 13 minute long song. 11 minute long song. Storytelling abilities off the charts. Huge fan. Can't wait for his next album. I think that's a fantastic pick. Like, you're in good hands, in the hands of Dave. That's for sure. Yeah.
All right. My number 2, and let me just set this up. Like, I was introduced to this artist by my uncle Pat, and I was going through kind of a rough patch in my life. I was jobless. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what my future held for me and what to do. And he lent me like 14 or 15 Neil Young albums, and I put them all on my phone, and I listened to Neil Young for like a year straight, just Neil Young stuff. And Neil Young's my second favorite artist of all time now, and I freaking love them. I love how each album is different. Some are more like grunge rock, some are more like folk music, some are more just soft rock, like he's got everything. I love Neil Young. And him live too is awesome, watching concert videos of him. Yeah, Neil Young, just the variety he has, that's what I love about him. Does he have the greatest voice ever? No, but he rocks it, and he has great lyrics. The rock and roll is phenomenal. So yeah, Neil Young, number 2.
Okay.
Great pick. Honestly, I've heard of Neil Young, never got into Neil Young, but definitely when my dad speaks on just in his generation music, just good song, good choice, and I know there's a lot of diversity when it comes to Neil Young, so that was definitely a great pick. Might have to listen to a bit more.
Same thing for me, honestly, as the Elton John pick. You've got me at a loss for words here. Neil Young, not familiar with his music myself, but I'm sure if I heard a song on the radio, I'd be like, okay, that's Neil Young. But yeah, no, I know like he's the stuff of legends, so I should also, like Dan, revisit his music. And yeah, no, it's a great pick, Matt. Can't go wrong with a legend on there. Yeah. So my second to last pick would be, so if Travis Scott was more like the vibes, the pre-drink, the party, the late night driving stuff. Now I'm going for more the bars and lyrical abilities and versatility. So I'm going Freddie Gibbs, number 2 pick. Been a huge fan of this guy since 2014. In my opinion, one of the most versatile rappers in the game. Also, he's known for very aggressive raps and a lot of like coke and drug references in his bars, but can also come through with the melodies in there as well. Surprisingly, Gangsta Gibbs be smooth with it sometimes, So had to have Freddie on here. It was a no-brainer. Like I've been saying for years, one of the best out right now. Doesn't get enough love, but has gotten a little more acclaim with Alfredo, my top album of 2020, if you'll recall. Huge fan. And he has so many albums, too, that going through his discography, I was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer to have him on here. I could list, like, Pinata, Shadow of a Doubt, Bandana, Fetty, Alfredo. That's it for now. That's all I'm giving you. But he has a lot of other mixtapes as well and stuff. So if I'm only listening to Freddie, I'd go back. I don't know if I said Shadow of a Doubt or not. That's a great album as well. And I'm looking forward to his next album, Soul Sold Separately, supposedly out this year. So hopefully he can deliver with another great album. And he has another album with Madlib in the works as well. So I think I'm in good hands. Freddie Gibbs, number 2.
Great pick, Eric. I knew it was going to be like number 2 or number 3. I had a feeling. Like, Paul Mall is probably one of the best rap songs ever made. Like, the bars on that. And
yep.
Like Scotty Beam, Frank Lucas, those songs on Alfredo, just
yep.
The whole album actually. I love Freddie Gibbs too. He would have made my top 10.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And yeah, for Freddie Gibbs, I've heard a bit of him. Can't say that he's one of my favorite artists, but when it comes to it, I definitely listen to a few of his songs with Four Things with Big Sean,
Yep.
into Gang Signs with Schoolboy Q. Definitely some great albums. He really is a versatile artist, but great pick on your hand for sure. But I definitely, once again, have to get into Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah.
And when it comes to my last one here, this may be no surprise to you. The man, the myth, the legend, Drizzy Drake.
Okay.
Drake, ever since I downloaded iTunes, I had my first iPod 4, Drake was on there, including Eminem, but Drake is an artist that stands out for me. Once again, if we take it back to 2016, one of the greatest albums ever made, in my opinion, Views. Once again, no skips, just an amazing top to bottom song, even features. But when it comes to his first album, So Far Gone, and dropped in 2009, amazing album. Even Take Care, which has Take Care with Rihanna, which is an amazing song. Nothing Was the Same. It has From Time with Jhené Aiko, which is just an amazing chill vibe song that I'll listen to. And the list goes on. If you're reading this, it's too late. Amazing album. First ever album that I heard Travis Scott on, which is surprising. And yeah, it continues on. More Life, Scorpion, and even his latest Certified Lover Boy, which people have mixed opinions on, but I keep listening to it on a day-to-day basis. We have Fountains, Too Sexy, In Too Deep, all these songs, and there's just not a skip on that album. And honorable mention would be Get Along Better with Ty Dolla $ign. Just a really chill song that he speaks deep into the lyrics, so definitely should give that a listen. But yeah, Drake, number one artist for me for sure.
Okay. Any thoughts on Drake?
I remember when his first album came out, I was in university and it was huge. Like, I listened to that a lot. I admittedly kind of fell off with Drake, where I got into other artists, and Drake fell on like my second tier rotation of artists, I guess. But I wasn't really into rap as much back then as I am now. So maybe if I had continued with hip hop, like I kind of had a falling out with hip hop until like me and Eric started talking again, and we were like, and he recommended a bunch of good stuff. But yeah, no, Drake's extremely talented, and I love Drake. Like, as a person, like, always been a fan of his, so good. And I had no idea he was going to be your number one, Dan. Like, I don't know much about you, right? But great pick.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if your pick would be Travis Scott, to be honest. But then when you said Don Toliver was on your list, I'm like, all right, I don't think they're both going to be on here because they kind of have a similar vibe, I would say, Don Toliver and Travis Scott. But for the Drake pick, so it's a well-documented history I have with Drake in terms of liking and disliking some of his music. I remember I used to hate Drake when he came onto the scene because I was a big Lil Wayne fan, and I saw Drake as a wannabe Lil Wayne. But he completely shed that persona pretty quickly, honestly. Like, that hate only lasted like a year. I started to really realize, like, okay, this guy is actually extremely talented, has his own voice, great flow, I don't really want to say this, but arguably more versatile than Lil Wayne in that he can make like love songs, catchy songs, bangers. Drake, sneaky, really good rapper too, and it doesn't really get mentioned enough in like the spitters. He doesn't go off as often as some other rappers, like a Freddie Gibbs, for example. But like, you cannot argue with the sustained success he's had for like these last almost 15 years. So it's great pick, honestly. I love, like, you could go through every single album of his. There's a handful of songs on each one at least that I would jam to any day of the week. My main gripe would be start to finish albums, not that many for me anyways, that I love from the top to bottom. But that's just my opinion. But I think that's a fantastic pick, Dan. Drake. And he's still dropping music every year. So, like, you'll be fine with Drake for the rest of your life. Great pick.
All right, my number one, and my third British artist,
Okay.
actually, now that I look at my list. I've been listening to this band since I was 16. Was introduced by them by someone I worked with at Farm Boy, and I listened to this band all through university. That's why I love this band so much, because it brings me back to university and my days riding the bus every day and just jamming out to this band. And this band is called Oasis.
Okay.
They were a band from '94 to like 2007, then they broke up. But everyone knows their song Wonderwall. I think you heard on the radio. That's one of their hits. But like I love all their albums. They're like just great rock and roll in my opinion. They were influenced by the Beatles too. They're from Manchester as well. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people don't know them. They're huge in England, but I love Oasis top to bottom. Every song I know, I just love them. So yeah, have you guys? Yeah. How much have you heard of Oasis?
Wonderwall. I mean, like,
Okay.
it's the same thing as the last few picks, right? I mean, it'd be like I'd know the song if I heard them, but looking at their Essentials playlist again, I feel like I have a broken record here. But no, it's a great pick. I just don't know much about their music off the top, to be honest.
Honestly, same. When you said Wonderwall, it clicked in my brain. I was like, damn, that's them. Surprising first pick. Your diversity in music is pretty amazing in my opinion, and definitely every single one of these artists that you've mentioned here, definitely some I have to listen to a bit more. So definitely a great pick, and Wonderwall is just an amazing song in its entirety.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, great pick. So my number one pick might not be a surprise to that many people, and it's all obviously drawing back to the nostalgia and memories associated to songs. Me, it would be Mac Miller, number one. Big fan since high school. Like, it brings me back to grade 11, 12, then university as well, and all the way up to his untimely and death at an extremely young age in 2018. So a lot of memories listening to Mac, and especially during like pretty big years for me too. Like grade 11 and 12 were some, like, for sure the most important years of my high school career, and I can draw back to like specific moments. Just we're listening to some songs and albums and mixtapes actually, and it just brings back the best memories for me, and I still jam to that music to this day. He just dropped. Well, they re-released one of his old mixtapes from 2011 this year called "I Love Life, Thank You." And I hadn't heard those songs in years, and just going back to them, listening to them again, was just like a blast from the past, literally, and just fun stuff to listen to. Like, I can, when I'll be like 67 years old, I can hopefully still listen to Mac Miller. So if you don't know his music, I would definitely recommend going back to the early days, like Kids, Best Day Ever, I Love Life, Thank You, just dropped on streaming platforms. Blue Slide Park, Macadelic. I don't know, I'm not going to list everything else there, but great artist, super versatile. And like I've already said on the pod before, one of my friends, when him and Wiz Khalifa were popping at the same time, Wiz was bigger because of Black and Yellow and all that. But my friend said, like, oh, Mac Miller, like, he's got more potential than Wiz. And he was spot on that was in 2010 that he said that. And Wiz Khalifa, you look at his career, like, yeah, sure, maybe he was the bigger star on the charts and had more hits. But I don't think many people would argue that he's a better rapper than Mac. And I don't know, like, the music he drops nowadays is just straight up bad. So that's not that it's a competition anyways there, but I'm just saying it was a crazy call by my friend from back then. So that's my pick, Mac Miller, number one.
Great. I love Mac Miller too, Eric. I like Swimming. That's a good album.
Yep.
Even Circles, like the last one, I listened to that so much too. Just, I don't know. I'm so like, I get so into his albums, and did a lot of long walks listening to Mac Miller albums. Nice. I need to listen to like the early ones though, Eric. Still haven't listened to all his albums, so thanks for like, this is a good nudge for me to get on that, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with Matt. Unfortunately, it took me a bit more time to get into Mac Miller, but I remember, Eric, when we were kids, always speak up on Mac Miller, and you always told us to listen to it, and I always told you I knew this one song from him, and that was Donald Trump.
Oh yeah.
And until he passed, unfortunately, it took me that to start even getting into a bit more of his music. And now you'll always catch me listening to the Spins, even though album Circle, Take Care from Swimming, like just these amazing songs like Conversations.
Yeah.
Just these great songs that like get me in just a chilling mood. And he's a great artist, and it's unfortunate what happened, but just an amazing artist overall.
Agreed. Yeah, very chill vibes in my opinion. The artist is the best way to describe. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say he's just a rapper. Like he's a musician artist. Like that's a great way to bow tie that. For Mac, anyways, rest in peace, and great artist for sure. So strong recommend. Chill vibes. Check it out. So yeah, great list. All three of us, and Matt definitely the most variety of us all. Great, and Dan and I both got to get on that. All those artists that you both share, honestly. Like I'll be getting into both of them, both of your lists, and it's great stuff. We did get a few submissions actually, so I'll go through those and we can comment on the artists if we know them, and just give up thoughts. So the first submission we got was from former guest, the homie Brandon. His was, if you could, I also posed the question, if you could only listen to one artist. So I didn't give the people 5 like we got. So for one artist, Brandon said Tupac. Matt, I'll throw it over to you first. As you know Brandon the best here. Thoughts on that pick?
I knew it was 100% picking Tupac. It's his childhood, right? He's listened to him since he was a kid, and he's so familiar with it. He knows everything about him. He's like, the man has such a beautiful collection, and his Tupac collection too is like phenomenal. He has like every release, or probably almost, and yeah, no surprise there. Tupac's a great pick.
Yeah, if I were to, that's an amazing pick in my opinion. Got me speechless because unfortunately I don't know much on Tupac, but you hear him everywhere. People say it's one of the greatest artists of all time, and I couldn't agree more. But I might have to listen to a bit more of his songs before I can speak up more on that. But definitely, if you don't know California Love, I don't know. Yeah. That's my favorite song of his. Unfortunately, it's one of the only 2 that I know. Then it would be Hit 'Em Up. But
banger.
California Love, definitely a banger. When you hear that, the vibes are going for sure.
Yeah.
So,
you know what? I'm also not. I haven't heard that many Tupac albums in my life, honestly. Like I have All Eyes on Me on vinyl, but that's the only album that I really know pretty well of his. Like I've also heard Tupacalypse Now, which I think is his first album. But those are the only 2 I can say off the top. But All Eyes on Me, Dan, great album to listen to, start to finish. Like Ambitions as a Rider, like you've for sure heard that song before. As soon as the beat starts, like, oh yeah, I know this song. It's a classic song. Scandalous, 2 of America's Most Wanted, him and Snoop Dogg just going back and forth. That's a classic song. No More Pain. Yeah, no, it's a great album. Can't See Me. Anyways. And Tupac is, like they say, he's one of the best rappers and artists of all time. So that's a fantastic pick. I was debating going with some old school rap from my list, but I just don't listen to them enough to justify that, yeah, like, this is what I want to listen to for myself anyways, forever. Because I'm more tapped into like new school adjacent rap. Yeah. Anyways. Great pick, Brandon. So the next one was actually from 2 people. We got from both Dill, so Dan's bro, and former guest Justin Mocktinger. As a Toronto man, it's only right that he submitted Drake, and that is also Dylan's pick. Brothers going with the same number 1 pick. I like it. So Drake, we've spoke on already, but great picks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Dill. Every time when he started getting his G2, we started driving around, listening to Views, listening to all his old albums as well. The list can go on and on between me and him, just guessing the songs and listing which is our favorite. But if I had to pick for him, it would probably be Child's Play, because I remember him jamming in the car to that song. So definitely a good prick on my brother's end. We have a similar kind of artist. We like the similar artists, but I know he's a country guy at heart for sure. So
I was just gonna say he's more tapped into the country game these days, but we don't judge. I mean, country's good vibes. I gotta respect that, but just not for me. So yeah, good picks, fellas. So the next one was from the homie Mart. His pick was Coldplay. Kind of caught me off guard, to be honest. Wasn't expecting that from Mart. I even asked him, but why Coldplay? But he said it's the first thing that came to mind. So gotta respect. Shoot first, think second in this situation. But I feel like Coldplay is a great pick. I got a lot of good music, and yeah, thoughts on the Coldplay.
I think they get a lot of hate, but they have some good songs. I just know those hits. That's all I know. So I don't really have too much of a. I don't have a big opinion on them, or a knowledgeable opinion on them, I should say.
Yeah, honestly, that's surprising. Great submission, honestly, because I just started getting into Coldplay. Just remembering going through YouTube and shuffling through songs, and Paradise came on. Just an amazing video in its entirety. Got me listening to A Sky Full of Stars, Something Just Like This, Viva La Vida, which is an amazing song, a classic. Very, very good pick, honestly. And favorite album from them for sure would be A Head Full of Dreams that dropped in 2015.
Okay.
So, great pick.
Nice. More well versed with Coldplay than I, Dan. Because I was going through their songs too. Viva La Vida is the one that stood out, and it's a classic. Like, you hear that all the time, and it always plays. It's a great vibes for sure. So yeah, good pick, Mart. The next one was from the homie Ron Antoine. So his pick was James Taylor. So again, unfamiliar with James Taylor. Matt, perhaps some experience in this, or Dan maybe, I don't know. I'm going Matt right away based off of our picks here, but Dan, I don't know if you're a James Taylor guy, but I don't really know his music off the top.
Nothing.
I've
heard the name, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a blank here. I don't think I've ever listened to some James Taylor. If I'm listening through his songs here, I can see that it's an older artist, but nothing that catches my eye that I've listened to before. But once again, might have to start listening to some James Taylor for sure.
You've Got a Friend. Could that be the Toy Story theme song? Am I crazy?
I was just thinking that.
No, I don't think so. I'm playing it right now. It doesn't sound like it. All right. Good pick, Ron. But yeah, I'll have to get into the JT world and just add it to the list. So that's another thing with these submissions and like the list that we've made. It's an opportunity to learn about different artists and stuff. So always like that. Speaking of learn about new artists, the last pick was from former coworker of mine, Cecile. Hers was Apocalypta, which I believe is a band. So don't know their music off the top. Name kind of rung a bell. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Apocalypta.
Never heard of them ever.
Apocalyptica. It's my bad. Apocalyptica.
Yeah, if I'm going through their songs.
What genre of music is it?
This would be some sort of rock. Hard rock.
Okay,
Hard
cool.
rock.
A Finnish metal band.
Okay, right on. Let's go.
Good stuff. I can do some metal. I have time of the day for metal. I can dig it.
As long as it's not screamo, to be honest, I do not mess with the screamo genre. Like, it's not for me. I mean, it's I know something like Curtis, big. I don't know. I don't want to expose people, but people like screamo. Dan, do you listen to heavy metal sometimes? Heavy rock?
Heavy rock, no. I think the most I've listened to is probably Red Hot Chili Peppers and AC/DC. But if I'm listening to the songs from Apocalyptica here, nothing catches my eye, nor that I've ever listened to it. But if I'm in the mood to rock on, I'll definitely search them up for sure.
There we go. Yeah, when we're listing Red Hot Chili Peppers as rock, that just goes to show that we don't really know the heavy metal scene. And I'm also like, Harry Styles is rock for me, so I'm not judging at all. But no, like Chili Peppers, I was actually debating maybe putting them on the list because I wanted one band that you know you don't always want to be listening to rap, in my case anyways. So I needed one band, and Chili Peppers was up there. Queen too, Imagine Dragons I was debating, but all roads lead to Doors, and I had to just go with that. Knock there. So yeah, thanks a lot everybody for the submissions. Great stuff. Always love when you come through in the DMs with the submissions. So thank you everybody. Another thing we had talked about going into this episode was if you could like choose some albums as well that you'd want to listen to the rest of your life. Did you guys have it sometime like come up with a couple that you could throw on constantly? It doesn't have to be forever, but if there are some like just a few that you could listen to like constantly without getting tired of them. Whoever has some ready to fire off, seed the floor.
Yeah. Do you want us to just rattle them off like all like Dan lists them all and
yeah, I can speak on them too. Yeah.
Yeah. So one that I put here is I've mentioned to you multiple times to give it a listen. It's been talked about on the pod a bit. It is from Tory Lanez, which is his newest album, Bon At Prom. Honestly, one of my favorite albums from him ever. Everyone of my friend group, even my brother can talk up on this. Top to bottom, amazing album. It's just that it gives an 80s vibe to the newest generation. So he uses samples from old songs. Example, one of his songs here, Enchanted Waterfalls, uses the Careless Whisper beat and sort of vibe to the song, which is an amazing song. And The Color Violet, amazing song. Ballad of a Bad Man, Lavender Sunflower. So that's definitely one of my top 5 albums, and I listen to it on a day-to-day basis as if I do every other one, but this one definitely caught my attention.
So I did listen to it the one time. I did like it, and now I just re-downloaded it. Well, actually, I guess I hadn't downloaded it. I wouldn't download then delete. Once I download, it's on there for life. So I will download again, and we'll give it another spin. Because I remember you played some songs off there when we were at your place a few weeks ago at this point, I believe. And, you know, Tory Lanez, controversial artist, but he does have some bangers, and always like him on features as well. And we'll check this out again.
I've never heard of him. Wow. I have to check that out. Am I going with are you going with your next album, Dan, or am I going now?
I could fire up another one, honestly. Another surprising artist that I put there for an album is Party Next Door. You guys are familiar with Party Next Door. He dropped an album just right before COVID called Party Mobile. And just an amazing album, once again, top to bottom. I listen to this all the time. A bit of more like a heartfelt album more than a hip-hop or rap. But still has some even great features. Has a song, Believe It, with Rihanna. Has Loyal with Drake. But one song that caught my eye for sure is either Eye on It or Trauma. Just an amazing song. Late night chill driving car vibe song. And whole album in its entirety is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Nice.
Yeah, Party Next Door. Always been a fan of, honestly, but I've never checked out his own music, so we'll check that out. Actually, no, there was Party Next Door 2 from 2014 that I did have recognized with Drake. That's the song that I would bump back in the day. I feel like that was a banger. And was it him who had the song? I feel like we've already talked about this, Dan. The song with Travis Scott that was never released anywhere.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. Do you remember the name of that song?
We've talked about it. I want to say it's No Business, but I don't think it's that.
Something like that, though. But anyways, not to get too distracted here, but yeah, that was a great song. Party Next Door, solid artist.
No Feelings.
No Feelings, nice. Yeah, good pull. Good stuff.
Eric, are we listing like just 5 albums or just as many as we
Hey,
want?
just as many as we want.
All right. Because the albums I picked aren't necessarily from the artist from the previous list. Because I went with like solid album, like this album right here, "Purple Rain" by Prince, all-time classic, no skips. You throw it on at a party, everyone's gonna have a good time. Everyone should listen to "Purple Rain" at least once. It's just a classic, feel-good album.
I agree. Don't know it. Like, I know the name and I know the song, but I've never heard the album start to finish, so
Yeah,
can't go wrong with some Prince.
Amazing album for sure. I've listened to it a couple of times. It'll come on and go in my rotation. But definitely an amazing artist in its entirety. But Purple Rain is definitely an amazing album.
All right, and a couple of hip hop ones actually.
Let's go.
Illmatic by Nas, his debut album.
Yep.
And also Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest. I listen to those like all the time because they take me back to it's nostalgic for me. But Illmatic is just what a debut, right? And Nas almost made my list too. So yeah, those 2 albums I think are perfect, but like very specific to me. Like I don't know if Midnight Marauders people would be like, why do you like that one so much? At Tribe Called Quest, like usually their other albums are mentioned and they're best, not this one, but I just have a soft spot for it.
Yeah, no, like me, it'd be Low End Theory from actually, and honestly, their album that they dropped in 2016, again, stacked year for hip hop. We got it from here. Thank you for your service. Amazing album, but I love Midnight Marauders. That's the first one I heard by Tribe Called Quest actually, back in the day. Great album, and Illmatic was one that I would normally listen to often on my birthday because it was released on the same day I was born, April 19, 1994, and great album, like one of the best of all time, start to finish. Incredible debut by Nas. Yeah, no, it's true. Now that you say that you're debating putting Nas on your list, yeah, it's true. Like that would have been, a good one. Nas, yeah. What can you say? Classic albums, both of them.
Yeah, when I heard the Nas come out, I was surprised and honestly just started getting into Nas actually with his 2020 album called King's Disease.
Yeah.
Got a couple of great songs on it, even a song with Big Sean and Don Toliver.
Yep.
And just features for Anderson .Paak, Charlie Wilson, Hit Boy, like the list goes on, but definitely an artist that I have to explore more of his albums more than just this 2020 album here. Great picks for sure.
Yeah, King's Disease, great album. One of the best of 2020. So I have a few, like I only have 2, well I have a stack of albums in front of me, but none of them are the ones that I want to talk about. So this one is by Kendrick Lamar. You'll see I'm holding up Good Kid, Mad City. That is not the album I'm picking. I'm picking Damn by Kendrick Lamar, which also, to your point, Matt, maybe not people's favorite in general. Me, it would be my favorite album of Kendrick's because I feel like less messages. While there are messages in it, it's just straight up raw music and more bangers, I feel, and catchy songs as well. Just an easier listen than his 2 prior albums, which I love both of them. But Damn is just an easy throw on, can fit any mood. Great album. So Damn is my first one. And then second one is I actually have this album, but I'm holding up a foil to it. So Not Only Built for Cuban Links by Raekwon, but Liquid Swords by GZA. Wu-Tang Clan solo album. In my opinion, it's one of the best rap albums of all time, no doubt. And I do feel like it does get brought up in those conversations. Amazing album. It plays out literally like a movie, a samurai movie. There's skits almost in every song or dialogue from movies. And just the instrumentals by the RZA give that soundscape to the GZA to just slash over these instrumentals. And if you haven't heard Liquid Swords, or also actually both the albums I just showed, Only Built for Cuban Links is classic too, but Liquid Swords, one of the best. So if I had to pick a rap album, like just one, it would probably be that one to listen to forever. Amazing album.
Great, Eric, amazing. I had the CD in my car, Liquid Swords. That's one that I do have in the car, like just in case.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Every song, right, Eric? Like Fourth Chamber best song.
Dude, that's one of the best rap songs in my opinion. And then it segues into shadow boxing, which is another one of the goats. Yeah, I mean, I've told some of these stories with this album in concerts, like seeing Wu-Tang Clan live, so I'm not gonna repeat myself, but it's just great stuff. Have you heard this album, Dan? Liquid Swords or Damn?
Damn is something I wanted to touch up on you. Great album. When he dropped that, just Element, the list goes on. Like amazing songs on that album. I was really surprised when he dropped that this year. Ironically, we touched up on that a bit. Thought it was going to be an amazing album, but I'll always go back to his old albums, and Damn is definitely one of them. And that was a great pick. It's definitely like DNA is an amazing song that's on there as well. But yeah, amazing pick. But the other one I'm not too familiar with, but I'll definitely have a listen to it for sure.
It's great stuff. Yeah, so I didn't really have time to come up with a list because we moved up the date of our recording kind of last minute. But when I had the idea of like picking albums, Liquid Swords just came to me right away. I'm like, I have to have this. If I'm choosing albums to listen to forever, this has to be on there. So that's why I had to talk about that one. There's obviously a bunch of others there, but I feel like I've brought them up before on other episodes. And even in this one, like I didn't want to say Birds again or like Swimming by Mac. I would choose those. Right. Alfredo. Like there's so many good albums. So, but those two I would say feeling good with those two.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just quickly, like for Neil Young, After the Gold Rush, my favorite album. For Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory, and then for the Beatles, Eric, Rubber Soul. That's my favorite.
Okay, yeah. I have heard that
Soul,
album actually.
That one. Yeah.
Rubber Soul, hold up. Rubber. Is that the album with the car? Yeah, okay, I have that album actually on my phone. Great, so Drive My Car, yep, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Top to bottom, I love it.
Okay, we can do that actually for all of our lists. Dan, do you have an album for each one of them? All of your artists on the list, just on the spot here at last minute?
Yeah, I have an album for each and every one of them.
You want to fire them off?
Yeah, so I'll start off with my girl Dua Lipa. One of her latest albums, actually, which is called... I know she's had a couple of features on Calvin Harris's new album, but if I were to pick one of her albums, it's definitely called Future Nostalgia, which came out in 2020. Has amazing songs, Love Again. The list goes on, but definitely a top to bottom album that I'll definitely listen to. And Dua Lipa is just an amazing artist in its entirety. Don't Start Now, Physical, Levitating, Pretty Please, and just some amazing songs on there. But an honorable mention that we can make up on is definitely Tony by Post Malone.
Yeah, great album. It's probably honestly is my favorite of his to this day.
Yeah,
potentially his best.
We were listening to it on the way down to Dave. No skips, just top to bottom. An amazing album, and he speaks deep into his lyrics on that album, as we've talked about before. But just up there is definitely one of my favorite songs for sure.
Same. 2016 again, just crazy year, musically and just in life in general. It was good times.
I can fire off another one. We can talk about Don Toliver. Was definitely a Heaven or Hell album that dropped beginning of COVID. It's called Heaven or Hell, and I've mentioned this earlier in the pod. Bunch of amazing songs dropped in 2020 as well, like Dua Lipa's album. Starts off with Heaven or Hell is basically a bit of an intro. We get into Euphoria with Travis Scott, Cardigan, which had a snippet in the Travis Scott documentary. Honorable mention will definitely be Spaceship with Sheck West. is one of my favorites as well.
Okay, nice.
Did you want me to list off?
Yeah, you can just keep them going.
Yeah.
Like then, yeah.
I'll touch up a bit on Starboy from The Weeknd. Is definitely my favorite album from his. You spoke about 6 Feet Under, which is an amazing party song. Interlude into Party Monster, and even more recently, Stargirl Interlude is one of my favorites with Lana Del Rey.
Okay, nice.
And if we mention Drake here once again, Views, amazing album. I'd like to touch up a bit on a song, Child's Play, Even 9. Just some good meaning lyrics, and you can really feel what he's mentioning to the audience and who's listening. But definitely one of my favorite songs on there for sure is Controlla.
Yeah, it was a big hit too.
Amazing album in my books. And if I were to talk about Dave, it would definitely be We're All Alone in This Together.
Okay.
Which my song on there is either Verdansk or System, which System is definitely something that I played on repeat ever since that concert. When I heard that, I was mesmerized and amazed by this song. And yeah, love Dave. Amazing artist in my opinion. And to kick it off, it would definitely be, Screwface Capital. I know it's not on that album, but Psychodrama was an amazing album, and Screwface Capital was a repeat.
Agree. Yeah, great picks all around. Me for albums, 5 Doors would be LA Woman. Like that's the first one I heard by them, and like that got me into their world. And I think it's their best album, start to finish. Honestly, just 10 songs too, so concise. And the last song is the last one with Jim Morrison. So he's their lead singer, and and he passed away not long after that album was released. So great closer for him, and classic album. Harry Styles, this one I'm hesitating. Like I said, Harry's House is his best album, but I've obviously listened to Fine Line more. But I do think with time it'll be Harry's House that favorite album. Like it has a more cohesive vibe, a lot of different sounds. It's a happier album too. Like Fine Line's like kind of like the sad boy vibes a little bit at times, whereas Harry's House is more like upbeat and as it was like still a classic song. Even though I didn't listen to it before the album, it's obviously now I've been hearing it everywhere, like on the radio and just playlists and stuff like. But I'm still not tired of it. It's a classic song. Travis Scott, it's a tough one again. Rodeo or Birds. Man, I get slight edge Birds, honestly, for the memories, and I think that first 5-song run on the album is like unmatched by anything I've ever heard on an album. Like 5 songs in a row that just slap one after the other. The ends, Way Back, Coordinate, Through the Late Nights, and Biebs in the Trap. Great run. Freddie Gibbs, again, these are all tough to choose. Like number 1, it's either Bandana or Alfredo. Bandana, I'll say no, just because it has a few songs that I would skip. So Alfredo, no skips. That's my favorite of his. And then Mac Miller, sadly, my favorite album of his is the last one that was released while he was alive, Swimming. I remember as soon as it drops, like this is an incredible album. And only like 2 weeks after the fact, he passed away. So super sad. And given, especially because like it was arguably his best album that was released, I think he was maybe on the right track to like clean his act up, and I guess not. But Swimming, amazing album. So those would be my 5 as well. And songs on each one, like I could just list the whole albums. Great stuff. It's been a great conversation. Guys, I think, did you have any other notes to touch on for this topic? I feel like we've done a good job at covering like the artists. Like if this is all we got, I feel like we're in a good place individually, and maybe we'll be even making swaps on our lists for each other's picks. Who knows? Maybe some Elton John will end up on my list instead of a Freddie Gibbs. Who knows? I'll have to dive into the catalogs of a lot of these artists.
Yeah, most definitely. Even Matt, with all your submissions here and your top 5, it definitely surprised me and gave me a bit more knowledge on a different side of the music and different side of hip hop and rap. So it'll definitely give Elton John a chance. Even Freddie Gibbs, as you mentioned, I know you touched up a bit on him before in the past on our conversations, but I've never given the chance. But someone that you talked about me multiple times, and actually I gave a chance to listen to, was Yellow Wolf, which you made a playlist for, and that's an amazing artist, and I was surprised to not hear a bit more of him, but a great artist to listen to as well.
I wrote him down actually on my list. He was there. I had him, the question mark next to his name, but it honestly maybe could have been there, but like I said, I needed a bit. I needed a few other genres. So those spots, his spot was potentially taken up by Doors or Styles. But I stand by those picks. And yes, Yellow Wolf fits the bill. Super versatile and has so many albums that he is someone that I could go like the rest of my life and listening to his music and not be tired of, because he has so many different genre bending albums and songs. So. Yeah, now you got me questioning everything again. I don't know. Did I make the right call not having him on here? I don't know. But no, Yellow Wolf is great.
Mention for sure.
Yeah. So, man, Dan, this was a lot of fun having you on. A long-awaited collaboration. Killed it on here. Any final notes for the listeners?
Yeah, just thank you so much for having me, Matt and Eric. It's been a long-awaited for sure. We've had multiple conversations on what to speak about together, but this is definitely the podcast that I wanted to be on. So thank you for having me. And anyone that wants to see a bit more of my personal side of the life, definitely go subscribe or go listen to me on YouTube, which is Dan's Basement. That is my personal podcast, which I have with my friends, and just speak my mind a bit and chime in on little here and there music, hockey, so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, we'll put that info in the description, and yeah, go check out his pod, full videos on YouTube, and it's great stuff. Yeah, man, thanks a lot for joining us. It was a great time. Next
Thank
up,
you.
we'll have to have the homie Dill on as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that was great.
All right, see ya, man.
All right.